Number one, Allah says in the Quran, we will most certainly test you in your life. We will test you regarding money issues. We will test you regarding relationships. We will test you with prosperity. We will test you through adversity. We will go through some sort of sadness in our life, because Allah has already informed us in the Quran. Number two, Ibn al-Qayyim rahmatullah alayhi writes that know and understand, by being sad at any event of your life, you're not going to change anything in life. By being sad, you add on an additional misfortune to the one that's already existing. By being sad, you cannot solve any problem in life, in simple terms. You can't. Ibn Amir rahmatullah alayhi writes that when Allah tests you with something, if Allah takes away something from you in life, then occupy yourself with something else in life. Don't occupy yourself on the misfortune that happened in your life. If you're going to sit and think and replay and replay and replay what happened to you, you're going to get yourself into further misery. But if you make peace and you say, let me occupy myself with something else which will distract me, you will be able to cope with that sadness and grief. And many people go into an idle mode. They've got nothing to do, they are idle. And that's the state that you need to save yourself from. Because it is that state that leads you to misery. You know, when a person is idle, he's got nothing to do. And so he worries about his misfortune. He's playing and replaying that event over and over and over again. And so that makes it very difficult for him. But the minute you say, I'm going to pick myself up and I'm going to occupy myself with something better, the person manages to come out of that state of misery. Subhanallah. Ibn al-Qayyim rahmatullah alayhi writes that know and understand that no matter how difficult this phase is in your life, it will phase out slowly, inshallah. And it will become easier. You'll see a father who lost his son. At that moment, he's very emotional. He cannot control himself. He's full of tears. He's broken inside. And if you ask him to speak about his son, he becomes very emotional, he breaks down. But ask that very same father after a year or two, he'll be able to speak. He'll be sad, but he won't be as sad as how he was before. Why? Because it's the natural phase of life that no matter how attached you are to something or someone, you eventually overcome that sadness in your life. At that moment, it was very difficult. But few months later, few years later, after the passage of time, we are able to overcome that grief. So Ibn al-Qayyim says that when you're in that thick of that moment, tell yourself, this will also, inshallah, come to an end. It's not possible that Allah only shows us grief in our life. There will be happier moments also, inshallah. Inna ma'al usri yusra. Allah says, with difficulty comes ease. You need to understand, to not ask of life what it cannot offer. He says, do not ask of life what it cannot offer. Life cannot offer you a stress-free life. Life cannot offer you a problem-free life. So why do you expect it? It means that we are living with such high expectations in our lives that we end up hurting ourselves every time when something goes wrong. And that's because we have set such a high expectation. My wife, my children, my business, my income, everything we have set the ideal. And we have set such high expectations that the minute we get anything below that, we are sad. So Ibn al-Qayyim says that do not ask of life what it cannot offer. That is only offered in Jannah. Ya ibadi la khawfun alaykum al-yawma wa la antum tahzanun. Allah says, now that you've entered into Jannah, there's no sadness, there's no sorrow, there's no worry, there's no grief. That's only in Jannah. In this world, we'll have to go through it.